time, it just keeps slipping away. Loki season 2. It's back. And we've got the premiere. It's hard to judge at this point. I'm in a weird place right now with Marvel. I have to be honest. I have not liked much of what Marvel has put out. A lot of it either soured on me after a solid start. That would be stuff like Moon Knight and WandaVision. Some of it I liked well enough at the time, but as time has passed and I've thought more on it, I've kind of gone, I don't know about that. And that's where things like Falcon and the Winter Soldier sit. And then there's stuff that just started out rough and got better by the end, but boy, it still had its rough patches. That's where you get your She-Hulk, and then there's Secret Invasion, and my point being is that discounting the movies for a minute, which I kind of feel like are their own conversation, though those haven't been exceptional in a little bit either, but just talking about the streaming series, I didn't even cover all of them. I keep forgetting What If existed. I prefer forgetting What If existed. But anyways, Loki was the only one that I remember coming away and thinking, that was good. And like actually rewatched parts of it, most of it. Not like immediately leading up to the release of this, but, just for fun. Because I liked it. So I came into this season very nervous. I would like to say I came in excited and had all the stuff in between the first season of Loki and the second season either been better or not come out at all. Excited might have been the mood. Instead, I'm just nervous. I actually said a quiet little prayer right as it started. Please be good. And it's okay. Like, this episode didn't need to be phenomenal, and it's not. It just needed to kind of load the bases for where we're going, and it did that, more or less. It's kind of a mixed bag, though. It's got moments that are exactly what I wanted the show, exactly the kind of stuff I loved out of the first season. And then there's other stuff that just feels off and clunky. So take, honestly, Loki and Mobius. Some of their banter midway gets real good. Like, takes me right back. Reminds me of all the things I loved about the chemistry between those two. But the earlier stuff where it's all just, wait, slow down. We need to do this. No, we need to do this. No, you need to talk. You need to explain. And it's like, okay, the expositional dialogue in this isn't great, and it's repetitive at a lot of points too. And I guess part of it is they're trying to like reestablish it for anyone who forgot stuff from season 1, but it feels overly redundant. And this is extra frustrating because the last episode of the first season was basically nothing but exposition dialogue, and it was great. It was great exposition dialogue, and this, a lot of it isn't. That's not to say none of the exposition works. Some of it does. We get Ke Huy Quan in, and he's good. He's solid. And I like the whole thing where Loki goes back in time and meets him and has a conversation with him. And then we see him in the present suddenly remembering for the first time that this conversation happened. I like that kind of dynamic. I kind of wish the show would have done more with that kind of stuff. Like, there's a lot of times where Loki just time slips away and we don't account for where he went and what happened. And every time that occurred and we don't know where he ended up at all, it feels a little bit like a missed opportunity to do something cool like that. So, there's bits like that where it's like, oh, that's cool. Like, why isn't there more of this? And then there's stuff like we've got these other judges and like this general, and we'll see how their parts pan out going forward, but they fit into the story in a way that feels like they should have already been introduced. I should know who you are because you kind of hit the ground running very clearly, like with your own deals going on, and like the performers are doing the best they can, given that these characters have by and large just been introduced. But it doesn't play quite right. It's playing that thing of, well, here's this character now, and like, you know what? For what that character is and how they fit into the story, they really should have been introduced the previous season. Why didn't they come up before now? But now all of a sudden they're a big deal. I'm struggling to come up with like a good example of that kind of thing, but it's not uncommon in these things. Basically realizing, oh, well, we need to expand, so now we'll introduce this. I'm like, oh, okay. That should have been in the first season, though, just logistically, if nothing else. And like, I understand the reality of the writing. They didn't know that they were going to have a second season. They didn't know what was going to happen. So like, I'm not saying they screwed up in season 1. I'm just saying that's the feeling that it leaves me with to a certain degree. That having been said, Tom Hiddleston, still fun. Owen Wilson, still fun. There are bits, there are moments. There is some of the banter that I love. I'm not going to dwell on Jonathan Majors. I've done multiple videos on my main channel talking about his legal woes. I don't want to bog down into it here. I will simply say he has a very good presence, and even with as little of him as is seen in this, which is basically just statues and flashbacks, you still feel the presence very much, and that's partly shooting and set decoration, but also just how good the performance was. And I feel a little bit weird praising it just because, you know, sort of everything that's gone on with him puts me in a little, I don't know how I feel about you right now, but like, until I've settled on how I feel about it, I'm just going to leave it at, I have liked what he's done with this part up to this point, and I am honestly, he's one of the things that I'm looking forward to in this. And like, it feels weird to say that. And again, I'm not saying that like, cause I am trying to condemn him like in advance or anything, but you know, also I just don't know where I'm at with him right now. A lot of stuff feels like it's still up in the air, but my basic gut instinct is just like, But with so much of it still kind of feeling up in the air, I have just enough comfort to watch the show. If I was at a point where he was firmly hitting my factor, which, you know, is a thing that Kevin Spacey could be in an Academy Award winning movie, I won't ever watch it just because I don't think I can look at the man's face without feeling, not that I'm trying to compare the two, beyond just my own gut reactions and as a base level for that. So I haven't hit that point with Jonathan Majors yet. I don't know. I'm dwelling. I feel like I'm trying to cover my ass on this issue. I should just move on. It's pretty short. I forgot that these episodes could be kind of short. There isn't a lot that happens. I mean, it's basically just kind of dealing with the logistics of getting Loki teamed up with Mobius again, reestablishing Sylvie briefly. Ends up in 1982. A very good year. I was born that year. Regardless, like, it's solid enough. We'll see what they do with it. It's not phenomenal, but we'll see where it goes from here. Loki, season 2. You seen the premiere episode? What did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills, enables me to do this as my living, and buy things like this, which I need to take off, because, that was making a dent in my head. This thing's not, like, it's got padding on the inside. I got to put more padding on in this. That's not comfortable. In any case, the Patreon helps. Like, share, subscribe, all that. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here when we don't have stuff pressing into our skulls. So just come on back next time you need a break. Shout out to the patrons who help make this possible. In particular, I want to thank Robin Moore, Zubin Lutfola, Goddess Elida, Tarak, the thing that goes joint in the anime, Ruth, Oliver B., Solitary Pictures, Ulrich Bogdan, Melinda Walters, Jen, Auntie Kate 808, Becky Sparks, Fernabilax the Poodle, Robin Powell, T. Love, Tracy Scrappett, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, and Rosalind Bennett. There's being able to hear me try and pronounce your name, plus a whole bunch of other rewards in the Patreon. You can check out the tiers, but if you're already on the list, thank you so much.